Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back at it with round three. Got my buddy Brandon here. We served in Germany together, but without further ado, Brandon, appreciate you being here today, bro. Good seeing you. Been a while. We talked for a bit on and off, but good to see you like on in the camera. Appreciate you being here. Just want to go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe talk about what set you on the path to join the military.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'm Brandon Chester, and I joined the Army in 2007, and then I ETS in 2016.
Okay.
I basically joined to do something. I didn't have much going on, like really small community. I think there's like 1,000 people in my hometown,
Okay.
and just not a lot of opportunity to go do stuff or like have a great job.
Okay.
So I kind of joined doing that, and then just basically kind of set goals once I got in to do certain things, and then I accomplished all those goals and I got out.
Did you know you were gonna get out and not retire? Like you already knew you're gonna sort of do in and out or type of deal,
Yeah,
or
yeah. I mean, pretty much. Once I was gonna go fly, I was gonna
okay,
go want to fly, and so in 2013, our deployment, I slid down a mountainside,
yeah,
and my left knee pretty much. I mean, it's not great. Okay, so then I basically went, I'm not going to go through flight and through this whole process because it was an 8-year commitment. Then if you didn't make it, like you're needs to the Army again.
yeah, there you go,
You
yeah,
know, so I wasn't going to
yeah,
lock in 8 more years. And then at that point, I would have been what, 17 years in the Army. Like, no
yeah.
thanks. So I decided to get out then and just kind of dove out. And
Where'd you get out at? Did you get out in Germany or did you PCS and go somewhere else?
so I went to Fort Stewart.
Okay,
And that was basically kind of, I got there and I was like, yeah, this ain't it. Like, I'm done. I'm over
yeah,
it, you know? And so with deployments, in Afghanistan winding down, and that was kind of my goal, was to get in, deploy, and then accomplish stuff that I wanted to do there and set myself up to get out. So
right. What did you know what you wanted to do when you got out, or did you just know you wanted to accomplish the goals and then ride off to the sunset and figure it out when you sort of hit the ground running?
yeah, I mean, you go in and, I didn't have a family, didn't have kids. And then through that process of the Army, I mean, I got a wife, I got some kids, and that
Yeah.
kind of turns into different stuff. And then while I was stationed here at Fort Campbell, I bought my first house, and that was in
Okay.
2009. And so I kind of knew after I got orders to go to Germany, I had to rent the house out because I only owned the house for a year. So I had to rent the house out. And so after that process, so it was what, 4 years, I had a home as a rental. And so I knew that was kind of what I wanted to do, was build a portfolio of rentals. And so when I got out, what did I do? I was a private investigator for like 6 months.
How was
And then I
that?
knew that I needed to go back to Clarksville, Tennessee, to where that rental was, and then get into real estate. So I became an agent after the tenants moved out, and I moved the family back to Clarksville.
So how was that whole transition to do? Was it pretty easy to get in the door for? Did you like it? Was it easy? What was your take on it?
The process of getting out and then to Clarksville, I mean, extremely difficult, because you're talking a 6-month period, and the Army only moves you one time. So then basically I moved everything into storage, waiting for 6 months to move back to Clarksville on my own dime. And so it was kind of like you have a job, but not really a job, because you're trying to start a career. Like, you're trying to dive into something and learn, but at the same time, you're carrying a family with you to get there. So it's expensive, hard. I mean, I don't recommend it.
So would you have? So would you just like you live with the bear, whatever you guys just had, and all your main stuff was sitting in storage?
Yeah, I
Like it
mean,
took mostly everything.
pretty much it was just kind of living on bare bones, and then moved down. And then, I mean, then you had just a bunch of stuff, and then, your 6 months, then you have more stuff, And then I moved back into the house that I bought in 2009 with one kid. And now we had 3 kids at the time. So a little more difficult to do.
Right. Did you like have someone, did you have like a mentor or like senior NCO trying to like give you the time to make sure that you were going to take care of yourself? Like, hey, make sure you get all your VA stuff in order because it's going to be easier when you're in than when you get out, or, you know, stuff along that lines? Or were you sort of just like doing it as you went, sort of solo?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much solo. I mean, we had the unit I was in, they went to a training rotation in Bulgaria.
Okay.
And so I stayed back to ETS out. So there was, I mean, 7 of us total in the rig,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were all doing their own thing and,
Yeah.
either getting out or med boarding or something like that.
So what's something that you wish you would have known like in that time? Which something or some things that you wish someone was telling you that maybe you learned at a later date, or, you know, that could have happened a lot sooner than it did?
Well, I think like now, even me being out and what the Army's actually done, talking to some of my friends who've gotten out, is there's more programs now. I mean, whether it's job training or even internships that you can do, I believe
Yeah.
every 3 months or something like that, and they still pay you to do it. So at that time, there wasn't much of anything like that. So there, the biggest thing I think is just making sure that people know, like your soldiers and stuff, like if this is not what you're going to do forever, or even 20 years, you're going to do 20 years, like start networking, start figuring out, like, especially if you're infantry, like you're going to go be a cop or you're going to be like security or something like that.
Yeah.
Or contract. I mean, there's a lot of money in contracting outside
Right.
of that, but for the most part, I mean, you're going to go work at Walmart. Like, okay. Like you're starting over, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is like, be prepared to start over, you
Did you
know?
feel like you started over when you got out to when you were on the real estate venture? Because I mean, in real estate, the money doesn't come flowing as soon as you get. It's like what I say, like 80% of the 20% of the real estate agents make 80% of the money type of deal. It's
Yeah.
like
It's 10% of agents do 90% of the deals.
there you go,
Yeah.
even worse, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's over 80% of agents leave after the first year or before the first year.
Yeah, because you got to do continuing education. You got to pay to play pretty much too, because you got to pay to hang your license somewhere.
Yeah.
I did like the 70 something hours. I just have to still do the test, but I was thinking about it too, because if you do your own deals, like, you know, you're going to save that all that 5, 6, 7% if you can just drop a contract, because that's essentially what a real estate agent is. Maybe you're a realtor, but that's a whole nother, you know, thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like you've navigated all the way through that. So how does it feel? Like, what are you trying to do now? Where are you sitting like that now for your own investments, if you don't mind sharing? Like, what do you see yourself doing?
Yeah. So I was selling, I don't know, what did I do? Just under 2 million a year in
Okay.
gross sales. And then COVID hit. And then I have 4 kids now. And so they weren't in school. And I was trying to, like, again, figure everything out, and the market boomed, it got crazy. Well, I couldn't even get out the door to show homes because I got 4 kids, like they're hanging
Yeah.
out in the car. And now we're going to show 10 homes, like, doesn't work. So yeah, right. Like it doesn't
Yeah. That's not. Yeah.
So I basically shifted. I already kind of had my foot in the door with investing. And then I kind of totally shifted gears. I think I sold 8, what was it? 1 closing. I sold 1 house in 2020, but I flipped a house and then I got another rental at the same time. So I actually even ended up making more money shifting gears that way and spending more time with my kids, and that kind of all just worked out. And then now I just pretty much 100% go do investments, which are, I mean, I contract stuff, which is basically like a wholesale deal, which, I mean, you probably know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I just hold the contracts for the most part. I mean, being here in Clarksville, there's a need for certain stuff like that because people buy homes and then they get orders, they got to go. I was kind of in the same
Right.
boat.
There's always going to be a revolving door there because it's such a high military presence and all that other stuff and everything else that they got going on. So you're definitely in a good market. Like, did
Yeah.
you, so yeah, man, what would you tell someone if they're in the military and they wanted to get into real estate? What would be some type of like, not like, just your own pointer to them?
I mean, like if you're in the Army, I think maximize the VA loan. I mean,
Yeah.
start building. I mean, as soon as you can, because it just gives you, I mean, potential. I mean, you can potentially sell the home for X amount after so many years, and then you're still getting a paycheck. You're not really having to worry about that house and depending on that income. If you do it right, if you set it up right.
Yeah.
As far as like, if someone's trying to get into real estate, I mean, you can get into real estate while you're a soldier. There's actually a few agents around here that kind of transitioned a year before. So they started building their real estate business before they even got out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's the best way to do it if you're going to actually just be an agent.
What was something that you struggled with when it was time for you to get out the military? Like, what comes to mind?
Um, I mean, the biggest thing is kind of like the just the unknown. Like you have an idea what you want to go do, but I mean, you can dive into school. Well, if you have a family, well, now you're going to school full time. Yeah, you get paid a little bit, for
Yeah.
housing and stuff like that through the VA, and school's paid for, which is great. But like, you can't survive off of that. So I think the biggest thing is just if you have a family, I mean, everyone's got to be on board. Like your wife or spouse or husband or something like that, like they have to go and be in it with you. So they have to commit to doing things that they're probably not even comfortable with, being okay with, like, I have to stay up till 3 a.m. and you have to get up with the kids and get them on the bus or whatever. It's just a big transition for the whole family. It's not just one person.
So, like looking back at your transition now, did you think like it was going to be what it was, or were you like thrown for like a whirlwind? Like, whoa, that was actually kind of wilder than I thought.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's always crazy. I mean, even life is just crazy to begin with,
That's true.
And then so when you're trying to build something and you're just getting all the curveballs, you're trying to adjust and do everything, and then there's family stuff, and it's just a whirlwind all the time. So you just got to be flexible, and you got to just remember, like, when you were in, it wasn't easy, and just take that with you that you got from the military and drive forward.
Yeah. Do you think you gave yourself enough time to like prepare yourself to get out, or do you think you sold yourself short?
Um, I don't know. I don't think that you could ever just be fully prepared, and I don't know if
That's a good
time
point.
actually really helps. I mean, sometimes just stumbling upon stuff, as you go and work through things is where you get your path.
Yeah. Do you find it common like amongst like your friends that you still talk to the military, like that they have like a never ending like cycle with like the VA, or just with like certain things like disability, or just sort of stuff to help themselves? Or
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I've seen is basically, I mean, it's always a fight with the VA. There's always something going on. Or then it's crazy because then they get a percentage off of something that didn't even make sense. It's like, well, I don't think I should have got that, but yeah, I got it. Or stuff
right.
that they actually have a problem with. They're fighting constantly to get it. But the biggest thing that I see is basically finding their place, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen so many of my friends, I mean, they transition from one job to the next to the next. They're just trying to find something that they want to
I
do.
did the same thing, dude. I had like at least like 12 jobs when I first got out the army, man. After I left Alaska, I had like so many different jobs. Just leave it. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, because, you're used to doing this thing in the army and I mean, it's clockwork. I mean, it's dependable. You know what you're doing. And there's brotherhood there with the whole thing. And like, you're not going to go find that at, anywhere else really. It doesn't exist out here.
Nah, not too many people are trying to like work hard or like do stuff the right way or work together. It's yeah, it's definitely a whole different story. Like, do you think you dealt with like, or you still deal with like culture shock almost, like leaving from the military and like being on the same side of people, and then you're out here. I mean, now you're paving your way to sort of like do your own thing. You're sort of like digging that tunnel to like, hey, I'm gonna be in charge. It's not really that hard. I can be property manager if I have good properties, probably in good condition, and I have people on speed dial that I can call if something goes wrong. And I know you're handy, so you like to do your projects anyways. So that's probably something you like doing. But for someone like me, I'm just gonna call. But like, dude, I mean, what? No better person than a veteran to be an entrepreneur, though, dude. Like, right? I mean, they say like back in World War One, like 30-something% of all businesses or something like that were like all entrepreneurs from like the war. You know, when they came back, they all started businesses. So it's like I feel like veterans are going to be are great candidates to be entrepreneurs because like think about all the stuff you did in the military for the greater good. You're not going to do you're not going to do all that and more for yourself, your family, your kids. Like
Yeah, I mean that's probably my biggest recommendation is when you get out. I mean, you got to work for somebody, right? You got to get paid,
right.
but work towards being your own boss. I mean, create something that you want to do and that you enjoy and that you believe is,
Seriously.
build your own empire.
Yeah, like learn about business. Like even if you don't even if you're not making money in the first year, you can learn about tax strategies. There's so much stuff out there that you could do. And you're right. Like earlier, you said they have like programs now, and I talked to a couple of my buddies, and they said the same thing. Like they have more fellowship programs, like from Boeing and AECOM or all that, and that's great because I never heard of such a thing. They might have had it then, but like we were too busy at Fort Carson going to the field. And when I got out the military, I was chaptering 2 soldiers. I had no senior NCO. They were worried about dragging us to the field as many times as we could, and so they could get their rotation to go to Kuwait or Afghanistan. But like they didn't. If you're leaving the formation, they don't. First sergeant doesn't know how to get out of the military. Maybe he does if you had a good mentor, good friends and stuff like that. But most of the people don't know how to get out the military yet until they go through it themselves, and then they either going to get put through the ringer and they're going to have to like get graded like cheese and start off like doing all the stuff that they miss when they get out, or they get taken care of. But it's crazy because I've even talked to sergeant majors, retired sergeant majors, and these people are all saying stuff like there's still stuff that's missing. And so, it's never going to be perfect, but I guess there's still a disconnect at some point somewhere. It's but like case by case basis at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, right, like exactly what you just said. Like your first sergeant hasn't gotten out of the Army probably before. Maybe there's a handful that have gotten out and then back in.
They might
Right.
have never even been to sick call. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like, man, you might be ahead of them in that aspect. It's not a race, but it's like, man, you might be in a whole different playing field.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, that's difficult. I think what I did was like a 2-week transition or something like that. That had classes like this is how you build a resume. Like you can Google how to build a resume. Like what you need is actual conversation of like, what are you going to do to find these jobs? Right. Most of them are online now. Like, how do you stand out above someone else on just a piece of paper? So
Yeah, you're right.
so it's a whole process. I think the biggest thing is network. I mean, you have to network,
Seriously.
you know?
Network is net worth, right? So it's like, yeah, you're right, man. Because like I got a buddy say he was in the Air Force and he was struggling to find a job in the IT sector, hot sector, right? But he got certs and stuff like that. But he's saying he can't find a job. Then I just talked to my other buddy. He said they're getting jobs left and right because they know somebody that has an in. So it's like you said, it's just like it's networking, man. It's not. You never know who you could be one call away from, the deal of a lifetime. Same thing like in real estate, it's all about network, man. You got to have someone to call, like, especially if you're doing contracts, you got to have a buyer and a seller, but you're doing stuff all day trying to make deals happen. But I feel like in the military, you network. I mean, we were networking like, yeah, well, we make E5, E6. It's like you're doing your own thing. You're taking care of your soldiers and stuff like that. You're not really, I guess I didn't really think about getting out of the military until it was sort of time to do it all. And like, we were just so, I got out. I guess another thing, like you got out in the States, which was good, but the guest I had on said, don't get out overseas because the same stuff's just not there for the soldiers. You know, they don't have this, they might not have the same
Right.
opportunity, and they're just getting out recently. So this isn't like 20 years ago. This is still sort of current. But what's your take on that? Have you known anyone that got out like from Germany, or like maybe still over there that's trying to get out, but it's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple from either Hawaii, Alaska, Germany, even I think someone I met got out from Japan or something like that.
Okay.
But like that's tough too. I mean, it's kind of like pick a place to go. You know, you're not in the States that you can go, okay, well, I'm going to stay here and start figuring it out. You know, you got to basically pick a place and go. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that. You know,
Yeah, pack your stuff up 6 months early in Vilsack and just sit in that 1905 barracks building all day with your wife and kids, and
right.
go to do that all day. Yeah, that's kind of wild. Did all your time in the military go by fast for you when you look back at it?
Looking back on it, yeah. I mean, I did 9 years, and it's like I'm 36 years old now. Like
It's like a blur. You've almost been out as much time as you've like been in, type of deal.
right.
We're coming up on that time frame of like, dang, we did 8-9 years. We've almost been out. We're almost out 10 years pretty soon, dude.
Right. Like
So do you get disability at all? If you don't mind asking,
yeah. So I got out and I got 40% initially. And then just in the last year, I kind of redid everything and I got an increase. So not 100%, but I did get an increase, which is good.
yeah, that's good, man. At least you on top of it, man, and going to get it. But if you got anything else that you might want to add to like people that might be thinking to get out the military, like we touched on a lot of things you touched on, make sure you guys have a plan. You don't just get out and do that, make sure like you take advantage of all the things that the military have to offer. And that's something that I need to brush up on too, because, just that we're given the right information. But as we know, like things have gotten better. They got like different levels of TAPS, different programs that they can go do. But anything else that we may have left out that you think would be a vital piece of information for somebody?
I think, I mean, we just kind of talked about the VA disability part. Like that is like, I never hardly went to sick call or anything like that unless it was bad,
Yeah.
like I couldn't move my arm. Like that's bad.
So if you could go back and do it again, what would you go? Would you go to sick call more like if you're for, some stuff that you try to brush off?
Yeah. I mean, be real about it, but at the same time, like if it's not recorded, it didn't happen.
There you go. So, and then when you get out, there's like no way to get all that. That's why it's so important to have all that stuff like in your medical records and have a copy of it, have a digital copy, have a hard copy, because like once you get out, you can't be like, hey, I fell down a mountain 2013 in Afghanistan. We're like, well, it's not in your records, They're not going to be like, well, so it's crazy though, man. That's literally like one of the common denominators with everybody that's been on is just like it's the pride issue, just like sick call thing is like is more of an outlet to help you. It's not like it's not a hindrance type of deal. But it seems like everyone's been saying that, man.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you're in the infantry, right? Like it's like your game day, right? Is training and deploying. Like that's it. That's what you're there for.
Right.
And so you don't want to miss that. And so whenever you do, it almost makes you feel bad because your team's out there doing it and you're sitting on the sideline. Like, so there's a lot that goes with that. And so, yeah, just the biggest thing is, take that knee when you need to and have it recorded. Make sure that it's there. That way, when you get out, 8 years from then, that it's recorded. And then you can have something to lean on and say, hey, look, this happened, and then you get paid for it. There's more benefits than just getting paid for it. There's medical, there's all kinds of stuff that.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Like, yeah, depending on where you are, property taxes, there's a lot of benefits that. It's not like we get out of the military and they give everyone like $1 million and say, hey, man, here you go, bro. Go get a quadplex, man. We know you earned it. Like, you're not really getting out with anything unless you had done your due diligence and you got all your stuff in order, man, whether it's medical retirement, whether it's regular retirement, whether it's like, RCP, whatever the case may be, man. Like if you don't make sure that money's going to hit like for yourself, like no one else is going to, S1's not calling you to my pay's not calling you when you get out to make sure you get money still. So
Right. They'll make sure they take whatever they needed from you, but yeah.
that's another thing that everyone's been saying too. They say about the last paycheck. I guess I don't even pay no mind. I had like 60 or 70. I had like 68 terminal days to leave, which was nice, of course. But like, yeah, everyone, I've heard the last couple of days, like everyone's last paycheck, they hold that. And some people didn't know that because they're going to audit it and stuff like that. So it probably happened to you too, man. Did you know something like that was going to happen or no?
Yeah. I was briefed on it in our, on my ETS briefings or whatever, but yeah. And it kind of sucks, but I mean, you got to get moving. I mean, so talking about leave. Yeah. Like take the lead, don't sell the lead, take the lead and start working towards.
Yeah, you could just start working another job and get the dual income. That's what I was doing. I was working in Alaska up as a head chef on an oil rig. And I was like, yeah, it was nice because you're getting paid from the Army, and then you're getting paid as a civilian. So you're not going to get that forever. So try to plan to the best of your ability.
Yeah. And then VA disability, like they don't even start it until your last day. So that can even take 6 months just to even start that, and get that kind of figured out.
Yeah. What's your goal for your real estate venture now? Like what's some of your goals that you got on the horizon?
So I have an Airbnb right now that I'm working on and it's almost done. And then I just got another property last week. So it needs paint and all kinds of.
Like what kind of, like a single family?
Yeah, all single family. I haven't ventured out into the multi-family yet, but
are they out there in Clarksville?
They are. It's just the way that I do my business. Like I don't even like advertise. I don't market. Like it's all word of mouth and it's networked. So basically people come to me whenever they have, a problem. They're moving and they can't, have the house. Well, I've created a company and I have the investors and I have, kind of the knowledge to ride that property out. That way they still get benefits of the property and I build basically my business off of it.
How'd you get plugged in with your network? Was it just pretty much like working with whatever brokerage that you were at and then just like a little bit of everything, like going to maybe like real estate meetups or like what'd you do to build your network out?
It's basically, just kind of talk to everybody, right? So like I have an idea, I kind of want to do this. And then, okay, if someone doesn't know about it, well, they probably know somebody.
Right.
Someone like clicks in their head. Oh, this person does this. You need to talk to this person. And so it's just really just like, if you're selling shoes, go sell shoes, talk about shoes.
Did you have pushback for yourself when you were going through it, or was it pretty fluid for you? Like you're like, yo, I already got goals. I gotta know, talk to these people, know these things, or was it sort of like you were hesitant a little bit too?
Well, so whenever you talk about the investing side of real estate, like everyone has a different avenue on how they do it. There's properties investors won't touch where other ones will,
right.
How they finance the deals and all of that.
Right.
So really it's just about, figure out your business and how you want to do it. And don't be afraid to fail. If you
That's
fail,
true.
don't do it this way next time, or that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So let me try this.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. You're never gonna learn if something's gonna work or not if you don't try to take action and do it. So that's something, you got to keep in the forefront of your mind. So, bro, I appreciate you like coming on here, sharing your insights, sharing your transition, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you again, linking up. Sometime we'll have to do a reunion for everybody, man. But this is just the start of this. Hopefully you guys listen to Brandon. He's he's got good expertise in the real estate field. He's in Clarksville, Tennessee. If anyone needs to hit him up, I'm sure he'd be willing to help. He took his time out today to reach out and connect with me. So I'm sure he'll do the same with you guys. All we're doing here is trying to build a positive community for the military that we can build each other up and just help one another. So I appreciate you, bro. It's been a pleasure. If you got anything else to say, you could close it out. But if not, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing what you're doing. Starting the conversation. So that's what.
Yeah, dude. We get on. We'd be like bigger pockets, man. You get on here and tell your story or whatever, bro. But it's like opportunities are endless, man. Just gotta sort of do it. Like we're all connected, you know. It's like we all remember each other. We're all like we all had good memories. We all had bad memories. We're in it together. So it's like, but it's just like about trying to pull those pieces together and just make it happen. Because I feel like everyone sort of wants to be heard, or else I wouldn't have all these people hitting me back, even strangers saying like, "Yo, I'm gonna get on a Zoom. They could do something better." You know what I'm saying? But realistically, everyone wants to help each other. So I appreciate you, bro.
Yep. I appreciate
Have a good
you,
one,
man.
man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Have a great one.
All right. You too.